It's going to be a fun night. All right, so first things first, going to start off with a little fun. Y'all grab your whiteboards. Be ready to roll with those. We're going to have you write your answers down. So, about how many years or months, and don't share with each other. Go for this like there's a quarter of land at the end. All right, about how many years or months can you get out of a pair of boots? Out of your work boots.
Are we going years or months?
Well, which way would you like to write it, Zach? What do you think? Months? All right, how many months out of your work boots?
Most of them can't do math.
Or spell.
All right, let's go with that. You don't have to look at each other's.
Doug was going with year.
I'm going to ask the crowd. Shout it out. How long do you think yours last? 1 year? So I got a 12-monther. Who else? 18 months, about a year. Okay, 6 months.
Were you
Wow,
waiting
that's
for
some miles.
suggestions?
No.
All right. Guys, hold your boards up. Flip them around. Brian is still deciding how long his shoes last. Well, it's okay. All right, so shortest over there to Chet, longest out to Zach. Any reason why your boots last longer than anybody else's?
15 years?
15 years, yeah.
Are those tennis shoes or work boots?
Flip-flop.
Or Crocs?
Crocs.
Socks?
It's Crocs. Those are the right ones. All right. What is the earliest you ever remember, and this is where you're going to write down, clear your boards. What is the earliest you ever remember planting in the spring? We want to see who had the earliest planting date.
Does germ test count?
No. I want seed in the ground.
Ugh.
Way to cheat the system, though, Tony. You're from Montana, aren't
Yeah.
you?
Is our answer going to be the same?
I hope so.
Actually, I don't. I know they're different. Everybody's
Quit looking.
I don't remember.
You guys are fun at cards, aren't you? Trying to hide from each other.
We
Cheat a
don't
little.
play games. Just ends in arguments.
We don't have that kind of time. Okay, y'all finally got your answers down? Worried about how you spelled that?
Maybe I should be. No, I did it right.
Okay, boards up, flip them around. What do we got? I got an April 15th, an April 16th, 16th, April 12th, April 17th.
It's April 6th.
Oh, April 6th. I'm sorry, I saw
It's
it.
a fancy L.
So April 6th. Nice work. Okay. Anything memorable about that year because you got in so very early? Anything else throughout that season that stuck out in your mind?
The beans were very terrible.
The beans were very terrible.
good.
Okay, good assessment. So, conversely, clear your boards. When is the latest you ever remember planting in the spring?
What if it goes into summer?
Yeah, that's okay. We're just going to go with the planting season, the extended version. We've had some up here. I've easily had soybeans going in like July 7th, 8th. It happens.
Yep.
Still conferring with the Larson Farms. They're not real sure.
I'm not even writing on my board. Definitely not
You can
going to
just guess, and nobody will know if you're right or wrong.
Right. This is an FSA.
Is your crop insurance agent here?
I did not invite your crop insurance agent. Okay.
Don't put the year.
Don't put the year
Boards
on.
up, turn them around. Latest planting. I got a June 12, July 17th, June 10, June 10. There was some not really sure about a July 17th, and I think my answer to that is yes, actually that can
You
happen.
gotta explain yourself.
So we raised double crop beans,
Yes.
so that's after winter wheat's harvested.
So you've got the opportunity.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. Now, wipe the boards clean. All right. Preference. Your tractor seat. Do you set your seat to more firm or to have a little more give when you're driving?
Is this a whiteboard question?
This is a whiteboard question.
All right.
You don't even have to draw pictures.
But we can.
You could. The audience will award you bonus points for that. What I should have done is given you all scoreboards, so every time they answer, you can hold the score up what you think, how they did.
Like your seat firm or something?
Do you need to wear your seatbelt that you bounce around on the rocks a lot, Tony?
No. Got a quad track. It rides really nice.
I got a quad track, rides right along. Every case guy in the room is like, yeah!
That's not how you spell that.
Okay.
We should have actually separated you two, so you can't do this all the time. So we've got answers down. Zach drew pictures. Boards. All right, boards up, flip them. What have you got? It's a bit of a downhill run over there.
Well, it's a jump, and you can clearly see I'm not coming out of the seat because the seat is firm.
That's excellent. Also, I believe you've done that on a racetrack.
Yeah, but that I wasn't trying to do. I tried to track this.
Everybody else, there was some indecision, maybe firmish, quarter soft, firm, whatever you thought it might be. All right, next question. This is again for the board, because we do have to have some clarification here. All right, you don't have to do math on this one. Do you call it a buddy seat or an instructional seat? Instructional seat. My.
I have a word, but I can't write that down.
Did I hear that right out there? It's an instructional seat if your banker's with you? Okay, everybody's ready. Boards up and flip them. Buddy seat, launch what?
Lunchbox holder.
Lunchbox holder, perfect. Buddy, buddy, buddy. What the heck is an instructional seat? I'm with you. I've never heard that term.
Never.
No.
I think that's a made-up question.
Do you
I
not
think so.
read the stickers in the cab of the A post on your board?
Does it say instructional
Yeah,
seat?
it does.
Yes.
Who has time to read your
Can't read
farming?
very well.
Goodness. Okay, another. Who on your farm is the first to cave and turn on their lights when dusk falls while you're in the field? Please write down the incriminating evidence of who that might be on your farm. First question to all of you. Which one of you caves first and turns the lights on? Hands up. Anyone? Few admitters, but a lot of pointers. Okay. Everybody up here is ready?
Yeah.
All right, boards up, flip them. Not me, the grain cart. Me, Brody, and me. Admitting is the first step to help. Awesome. You guys have had a great turnout tonight. We are so glad that you are here. So thank you for answering all those questions. Now, have more for you, but this will be fun, and some of them are very specific. So for instance, this is for Duggo. How did the red KW work out for you guys? We didn't see very much of it. Thoughts? Do you want to draw pictures? I mean, it looks like Zach's really getting into that tonight.
I'll draw it for you. You could maybe just do an interpretive dance.
I was really hoping that by the end of the night, y'all be leg wrestling later. I'll make a tourney bracket while we're waiting. Okay, please, go ahead. Your question.
Yeah, I think it turned out okay.
Kenny? Are they talking about Kenny?
I think so. KW or Kenny? KW. Well, if we're specific there, that'd be KW.
If it's Kenny,
so.
just make sure to change the air filter when
Yeah,
it starts
it's,
not
the new
running
air
right.
filters are
It
a learning
costs-
curve on them.
Cost us a service call to change the air filter.
Yeah.
That was humbling.
It was very
Oh. And that didn't spread around town fast or anything.
right.
Okay, everybody.
Well, it
You
did
didn't tell
today.
anybody.
Today. The service guy wanted to make sure y'all knew. All right, so this goes with for everyone. And you get to answer this all. Were you born with the farming gene, or did your love for farming come a little bit later in life? Where'd you think that would start, Brian?
I'd say you're born with it. I mean, growing up around, like, my father, seeing them farm every day was kind of, I mean, it didn't come later in life. As soon as I was old enough to have a thought, I realized that's what I wanted to do.
It was all right there. Zach, how about you?
I would say, I mean, I was born with it, I guess. There was definitely a time where it was a lot of work, and then I had other things that I wanted to do, but it never really left. So when I got out of school and went to tech school, I realized that really what I wanted to do was just go back to the farm.
Tony, anything different?
Yeah, born with it.
Okay,
Playing with farm toys when you're little and riding along.
extreme carpet farmer.
Yep, pretty much.
Excellent. By the way, if you have any photos of that, we'd like to put those up later, so feel free
I
to share.
don't think they would. They're not digital.
Okay.
I could draw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can totally
Zach,
draw
would
it.
you draw one of it?
What about on the Larson farm? Was it different for either of you?
No, I definitely wanted to farm right away. I think I'd have quit school at age 15 if I could have.
Someone said you had to stay in school.
Yeah, that didn't go
Way to
over
be-
too well.
Way to be inspirational for everybody else. Stay in school. Okay. Chet?
I think if you're not born with it, you wouldn't do it. It's, can be very challenging, and if you don't love it, I wouldn't know why you would do it.
So I'm going to build off of that question with one other, because I am the minnow in the social media ocean up here. And a question that I've heard a lot on Twitter is, did you find that farming is so much your passion, or in some cases has it just become a job? Would you all raise your hand at passion?
I would.
Okay. And do you see any difference in that, where some days it's just the job?
Yeah, that depends on the day.
Yep.
Having a real job would suck.
Having to that time clock
Yeah.
poured in. Okay. Fair enough. All right, next question we've got up for folks. I'm sure it'll pop up in a second.
Should we start drawing again?
So this goes for everyone. How does your better half deal with the time commitment of farming? And that came from Ricky in Fargo wanting to ask that question. Who wants to start there?
Impatiently.
Impatiently waiting?
Yeah, we've been married for 12 years, 13 years, something like that. And it's still the same questions. When are you going to be home? I don't know. When we get done.
Now, to tag on to that, did your wife grow up farming?
No.
Okay, a little different for her.
My wife did not grow up farming either, but she seemed to get used to it fairly quickly. The one thing I think she's realized, and one of the things I love about farming, is that, you are your own boss, and yes, you have to get things done when you have to get them done, but at the same time, you usually can get some flexibility in there if you need to, especially if it's not planting or harvest for us, because we don't have livestock. But there's a give and a take there. She knows October, no, I can't do anything else. But a lot of the other times of the year, I'm able to do whatever we want to do, just because we have that flexibility, so you can kind of work around your own schedule. So I like that a lot.
Other thoughts, guys? I'll let you just jump on in if you want.
Somebody's wife is here, and so is Doug's.
Yeah, I don't want to really touch this
Did you
one.
want your wives to come up and answer? I don't want to touch it. Should your wife come up and answer for you?
It seems like it never ends, but thankfully we're not farming all year round. So at least the off-season helps.
Gives
with
you some
that.
recovery.
And Sundays, we don't work Sundays,
That's a great role.
so.
I would say most of the time like summertime, we get the weekends off. Basically, now that we're in a black bean rotation, it's really getting to be a long harvest season. I mean, end of August to, well, then we start tiling and ditch cleaning and excavating, and Brody and the rest of the guys were out doing that still today. And we are taking the weekends off, but definitely takes a toll on the relationship. Right, honey?
Yeah, I don't know. I grew up with livestock, so there was no question. Saturdays were any other work day. It was, so Amy coming from town, I think she was pretty lonely.
Farming
many,
widow.
Was?
many days and nights.
Was?
Well, she's battling through.
I see the glare.
Yeah, I do too.
I bet I know how you'll all answer if I were to ask, because Zach brought it up. What if y'all added livestock into your operations? Is that a yes or a no?
What was it?
No.
Say that again.
What if you added livestock into your operations? Would you consider it?
No.
I'm gonna retire.
Because I heard you say, I don't have livestock, so I get a little bit of a break. But would you consider adding livestock in at any point?
I mean, I've thought about it, but not super seriously. My wife wants basically a petting zoo, which I don't want to do. Like, if we're going to raise animals, I want to eat them.
Fair.
Kind of my thought. But yeah, I've considered it.
Totally fair.
We just finished a few butcher cows kind of for ourselves and whoever's looking for wholes or half beef, but it's not a
Not a
4-hour a day chore. It's
Got it.
20 minutes.
That's an okay way to add livestock into the operation. I like that.
Yeah, no calving, thank goodness. Been there, done that.
Okay. All right. From Tim to Brian, what is your favorite Crary product?
Well, the only Crary product I have other than this hat and this shirt is an aerial, so we'll go with that.
And why? What do you like about it?
So I've seen what it can do. I mean, it definitely, I know that somewhere there's probably a real playing of it saving 1 to 2 bushel, and it definitely does that. This year, like farming in southern Ohio, we grow a longer season bean. Typically, they're a little bit taller bean. And at one point, I disabled my air system just so I could gain some more horsepower. And I was kind of curious, so I just went back and checked our yield legend on our yield map, and I changed the increments to where they were 2 bushel increments. So it was really trying to see what kind of difference there was. And there was 4 bushel difference. So you could tell exactly where I disabled the belt and where I put it back on. And yeah, that adds up pretty quickly. Maybe I can go a half mile an hour slower and we'll be okay.
All right, so this is from Sam to Tony. If you couldn't run Big Bud or Case tractors, what's the next brand you might want to operate on your farm, and why?
I might just
You're
quit
looking at
farming.
Brian like he's going to help you with this.
No. I don't know what I'd pick.
It's gonna hurt when you say it.
That might be in the contention. No, I don't know. Yeah, we're run Case Age because we got a good dealership in our area, and yeah, it probably would be a John Deere or Versatile, since that's what's close for dealers.
So the salesman in me is going to ask this question. If it came down to your favorite salesman left, would you still stay, or are you buying based on relationship or based on your product performance, price point, et cetera? Which one weighs in most for you?
Oh, I don't know. Mostly the dealer in general.
Okay.
And then we've had really good luck with our Case equipment. So product, I guess.
They're happy to see you come
Yeah.
in the door. Awesome. All right, from Aiden to Chet. What is your favorite hobby to do in the summer when you're not farming?
Go to the lake, I would say, jet ski. That would probably sum up the 3 days I get off.
No major no major wipeout stories at the lake. That one where you saw the fishies at the bottom or anything because you forgot to let go of the rope. Or
No, most of the fish floated up to the shore this spring from winter kill, so it wasn't the most enjoyable time at the lake this year.
probably not the one you wanted the most.
No.
Do you need fish to go jet skiing?
You just don't want the remains that are floating around out there
Oh,
to
I
hit
got
you
you.
when you,
Dad wouldn't let anyone go in the water till like
Oh,
August. He's like, it's
Good.
disgusting, don't go in there.
yeah.
I hear fish oil is good for the skin, but maybe not that way.
Well, there was that nice oily sheen out there in the water, so it'd have been good for you.
Sam would like to ask Zach, have you traveled the world and experienced other farming practices outside of the U.S.? If so, what's the coolest farming practice you saw, and what intrigued you about it?
The only farming stuff that I've toured outside the U.S. would be in Saskatchewan. That would be it. But I've been lucky enough to go through California and Yuma, Arizona area, South Texas, South Florida, and see a lot of the vegetable farms out there, which is so different from the world that I come from and that I know these guys come from. Just unbelievably different. The amount of vegetables and the produce that they're handling down there and the way they schedule it and the physical labor that it takes. And it is an entirely different world. You know, when I think of farming, I think of big tractors and row crops because that's what I grew up with, and livestock and the stuff we all see up here. But if you get a chance to go down to, I think it's Okeechobee is the big lake in Florida, South Florida, or you get a chance to go down to South Texas and see some of those fields, go check that out. It's pretty awesome. It's just so different. The questions for me never ended. It was just unreal. It was very cool.
So when you watched that, was there anything that you said, I want to take that idea back to my operation?
No, nothing that stands out because it's just so different.
Yep.
It's an entire, I mean, farming's farming and it's agriculture, but it just doesn't apply at all to what I do compared to what they're doing there.
I'm going to ask if anybody else has traveled and looked at anything like that.
We've been to South Texas too with Michelle down there, and it is wild just to see, and it never ends. And stuff like, I think methy leaf?
Yes,
Like,
never even heard of it.
yeah. It's like cilantro or something like that.
That's what it looks like, yeah.
This has nothing
Wild.
to do with the drug addict.
With what?
Drug addict. You said meth leaf?
Meth.
Okay.
Yeah, something like
Methy
that.
leaf.
You guys are going to have to all pick up your microphones to talk because so far you're just discussing illicit drugs. Because you can't hear each other.
That'll happen.
Okay.
No, the methy leaf, I think it was called.
Yeah.
There's so many vegetables down there and so much produce that there's stuff that I had never even heard of. And the amount of physical labor it takes to get that done, and then how they'll plant 100 acres of cabbage, and they'll sell 150 boxes to one store one day, and then the next day the next store gets 300 boxes, and they'll harvest an acre and they stop where they stop. Like, okay, we have our boxes. They'll stop mid-field with 30 workers out there, and that's that. They throw it on the truck and they're done, and then the next day they go back to that spot in the field and harvest what they need. And just, I don't know how they manage not wasting it and getting it all harvested at the right time, because when they plant that to when it's gonna go on the truck for the stores, I mean, the management that's gotta take has gotta be crazy, putting all those logistics together.
A little bit more intensive than what we might see on a regular day in Minnesota.
For sure, yeah.
Absolutely. All right, so this is from Jordan asking all of you, what is your favorite thing to do during the winter season after you get through harvest? So how about we start that one with Tony?
Oh, man. Seed winter wheat? Usually what happens next, I don't know if it's my favorite thing, but get some time off.
Get
A
that
nice little break. Yep.
I enjoy taking my son hunting. That's probably, don't really get to do that during harvest, so since harvest is over, we usually try to do that a little bit.
Deer hunting, upland game? Okay.
Yeah, I'm hoping to take him duck hunting this year. He's still a little small, but I think he can sit in the layout blind all right.
Sounds like a good plan. Chet, your Dago?
I would say the first weekend I get off, I sleep the whole day and do nothing the entire weekend. And I really enjoy that. Other than that, I've been remodeling a house, which I don't enjoy really, but it's what I do. It's a
How far are
hobby,
you
I
in
guess.
remodeling? Are you like 70%?
Half done
Okay.
on a massive house. We got a long winter ahead of us. Don't we, honey?
Basically, what Chet's saying is he'd like to put a tip jar in front of him, and anyone who would like to walk by and put in money for the roofing and repairs, feel free.
I'll wave at you when I snowmobile past your place. Because that's what I like to do. I really enjoy snowmobiling.
Are you going to like the UP or out towards
No, I
the
don't
mountains?
travel much. I would like to. I'd love to go try the UP or the Black Hills and that, but I don't really leave the area. We're just too busy. I got 2 kids in hockey. Last year it was 3, so leaving the area is difficult. I snowmobile in between hockey games.
or 2 hockey games.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, this is from Natalie Fast to Tony, and yeah, this is loaded. Who's your favorite daughter?
Well, not Natalie.
And that's just for tonight. It might change
Yeah.
tomorrow. Fair question.
We don't play favorites, but we always say Macy's our favorite just because. For no reason at all.
Oh, Christian wants to know, to Zach, how does a young college student get into farming and transition into taking it over?
I'm going to assume that this is coming from somebody who doesn't come off of a farm, maybe a first-gen, somebody that wants to be a first-generation farmer. I know that's really difficult. I've got a good friend who is doing it right now. Randy, you guys know him. He's from our area, but he worked for, he still works with a big farm in our area, and he's worked really hard for several years, and he is now actually farming with them. So he's got his own acres that he actually farms with them, and they're working him into the operation. So he now owns part of that operation because they saw the value in having him around, and he added a lot to the farm, and so they've taken him on, and he will be one of the next generation farmers within that farm, along with the owner's son. So that is one way to do it. Otherwise, I always say, I know when you watch YouTube channels like mine and Chet's and these guys, it looks really difficult because you're thinking you got to have 10,000 acres of land and $5 million worth of equipment, but that's just not the case. Particularly, I think there's a lot of opportunity right now for smaller farmers or small acre farmers, however you want to word that, to actually go direct to consumer. And I think there's a lot of creativity that I've seen out there where young farmers will come up with something and they might have 2 acres or 5 head of whatever kind of livestock it is, and they'll do very, very well by marketing that direct to consumer, and they might be using social media to promote themselves. And I think that's a really huge opportunity for somebody that wants to get into farming. If that's what you want to do and that's what you love to do, I think there's opportunity there. And it may look different than what we do, you know, those of us sitting up here, but just because it looks different doesn't mean it's not farming. So I think that's a big thing that's out there, big opportunity for some people that want to do that.
So I'm not going to ask anybody to reveal anything too personal, but one of the biggest topics in farming right now is transition planning. On your operations, is that a discussion, whether it's from the generation above or below you? Are you already considering what that might look like? Go ahead, anybody can jump on in.
Yeah, I feel like that's a conversation that's going to be way easier for all parties involved if it's discussed before you get to the place where the bank's telling you it has to happen, or there's a death in the family and there's a lawyer telling you it has to happen. I mean, I feel like everyone's going to be in a lot better place if you do that ahead of time. But it's this weird subject. It's not one that's fun to talk about, but I think it's something that needs to be talked about.
I would agree with that. We personally have not done any of that, but Dad still feels like he's got about 45 more years left in him. I'm looking forward to those 45 years.
That might not be absolutely true.
Was there a decimal in there, like 4.5?
46, aren't you?
My dad and I guess we've been talking about it for 10 years, and I know we've done several things on his end from transitioning from him to me. But I think he's got, you know, he doesn't ever want to quit farming, and I wouldn't want him to either. But on the other side, just in the last year, really, I've actually started to think about already on what can I do already, looking towards my kids potentially taking over the farm. So what I've done is absolutely nothing other than actually think about it, but it's there. It's a thought on my brain.
And you've got that thought. That's an important first step. Actually, it really is. All right, so Justin wants to ask all of you, have you considered anything organic in your rotation, any organic crop? Go ahead, Tony. You're looking at me like you might have the answer.
We've had some people in our area try it, and it's just our climate and soils, it doesn't work well. It's like
And-
kosher problems.
Yeah, you and I can have a little kosher pity party later. I've been in your area.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's go to Larson.
I don't know, there's gotten to be a few new guys that are doing it.
Yeah, it's definitely possible to do it without being the guy out there hand pulling the weeds out. If you're good at it, you're good at it, but you ain't gonna do it in a large scale farm.
Yeah, I think
take
it's gonna be
A lot of people. The guys that I know that are doing it are a large family, and they sit in tractors all summer long with cultivators and 6 days a week and a lot of hours on tractors.
A lot of hours.
I've definitely thought about it, but it's difficult, you know, in our operation. I don't want to try it with 100 acres or 200 acres because it just, to me, it's just that 100 or 200 acres would take so much work away from the rest of the farm. So I actually think that in an organic situation for somebody that wants to transition to that, I think that's another opportunity for farmers that are set up differently than mine anyway, to actually be able to capitalize on that, because there's definitely a premium there. There's guys that do really well with that. So I've thought about it again, but I haven't. Realistically, I don't see it happening.
Brian, any comments on the organic situation?
Well, not something we've really considered. Isn't there like a 3-year window you gotta
To be
survive
certified.
through before you're getting any premiums? So to me, that's a pretty large barrier to entry. That would keep us from going that route.
Very fair. All right, so from Mark, wanting to ask Tony, what's your favorite farm show to attend and why?
I like coming to the Big Iron here or like Husker Harvest Days just because it's a complete different set of equipment, and I mean, not a lot of sugar beets in our part of Montana once you get off the river. So just getting out and seeing different equipment and different ideas like that.
Giving you a little bit of planning of what you want to do.
Yep.
Evan wants to know from Doug, what made you decide to get out of hog farming?
Oh, that was, total numbers of hogs, what we were producing was just, '08 when we did get out, it was, we had whole numbers of butchers being sold a year, what was half the size of what the sow units were being built. It was, and none of us wanted to go that way.
Well, I wouldn't say that it was even you and Randy that were in the hogs. It was my grandparents, and they reached.
At the end, yeah, Randy and I ducked out earlier when the 8-cent hogs were there, and,
We got to work with them where I was 12, so I thought it was fun, but
you know,
no one else agreed with that.
and Dad, he had the mentality, if their barn was on the yard, it was gonna have pigs in it, and we said,
Tear the barn down.
go ahead and enjoy. But then we still got to work with them, so it was, yeah, it was just a financial thing.
Chet still sounds a little disgruntled that nobody took his 12-year-old vote about keeping the swine.
Oh, no, now I'm very glad. That's not around.
And when we asked that question, I heard a lot of laughter in the front about swine production, and I'm guessing y'all had hogs at one time too. That's why you all laughed. Okay, yeah, there's the heads nodding. Got it. All right. So from Zach Johnson.
That
No,
says
no,
Jack
it says
Zon-
Jack
From
Sonson.
Wow. That's a lot of run together. Well, anyway, to Brian, what do you like to do on a typical Tuesday night?
Plead the fifth. I do not recall.
Good time was had by all.
Kind of.
Welcome to the Midwest.
Good answer, Brian. I was wondering how you'd walk around that.
You mean Jack was one?
Jack was wondering. Jack,
Yeah.
yeah.
Really sorry I wasn't here Tuesday night now. All right, Cooper is asking Zach, is Greenbush, Minnesota the fastest track?
No, it's not. I'm sorry to burst your bubble. Greenbush is not the fastest track, but it's a good track.
It's a good track. I did see you don't mind River City and Grand Forks.
I love River Cities. Yeah, that is my favorite track. That's a fast track.
But Greenbush, no. Okay. Brandon wants to know, have you guys considered using any biological products? If so, what? Have you seen any bump in yield? Zach, if you want to start with that one.
Not really. We did some biological stuff maybe 5 years ago and didn't really see much. I guess no. To me, I think most of you guys can probably relate. At some point, there's enough foo-foo dust trying to be sold to you that you just have to say no. I'm not saying there's nothing there, but no, we haven't really tested with it.
Okay. I'm going to go to Brian and ask him as well, because this is to everybody.
No, we haven't used any. That's kind of where we call it snake oil, not foo-foo dust, but it's kind of where we're at with it. I haven't seen anyone in our area have a yield bump from it, so I mean, if they are, they're lying and they're keeping a really good secret. Maybe it's great. I don't know, but we haven't tried it yet.
Okay. Larson's?
We tried, I don't know if I should even share the product name, but it was, you sprayed it on and it was supposed to put N into the plant. And 2,400 gallon tank, here's your little jug, and you put like 1 ounce in 2,400.
Does it rhyme with Pivot Bio?
No, it was Source. I believe it was Source. Anyways, we wasted a lot of time with side-by-side combine trials, weighing it all. Luckily, it was a money-back guarantee because it did not work and actually shorted us yield on those acres that we did. One out of 3 different side-by-sides showed a little bit of a yield difference, not less, but it definitely was not worth the price of the product. And on the other 2 trials, it was backwards because you short your N and spray this on, and it's supposed to account for the N you didn't put out there, and obviously you need to spread your fertilizer out there, is what we found.
Anything different for you, Tony?
We've tried a few things, and early on looks really great. The healthier leaves, and then get a hot July and August, and weed sweet. It's not hard to find any results for us.
So when I think about what you guys are saying, was this all just a 1-year operation? Has anybody tried it for multiple years? Okay, so you've been on multiple
Yep.
years, probably 2?
Yeah, 2 or 3.
2 or 3? And everybody else, if you've tried it, you've maybe tried 1 year. Okay. I would just simply the nosy Nelly over here wanted to ask. Okay. Based on the time that we started, we're going to take a short break. Let everybody get a chance to refill their drinks because I did notice Brian's is empty. He needs a beer. So we'll give you all 10 minutes to do that. Then we'll come back. We've got way more questions to ask. Keep them coming. Still time to get them in. Be right back. And the question from Vivian is, do you drive the combine? She wants to know if you drive the combine.
Not anymore, no. I got relieved, or I chose to duck out of the bean combine. I have not harvested corn in years. I'm always on the yard on the grain bin site doing the watching the dryers. The soybean harvest, I think when Brody came on, he
took
over
your
my
spot.
Yeah, he stole it.
So is that your favorite thing to do or just the thing you need to do?
I never minded it too much, but as the new technology and all that I was doing it, but they can have it, I guess. That's fine.
Okay, and then Fiona wanted to know from each of you, what would you do if you didn't farm? Who's got the answer right off the top of their head for that one?
I would probably be general labor for another farm, I would assume.
That's still farming.
Okay, then I'd be a diesel mechanic probably. Is that farming?
Are you
Close
working
enough.
for a farmer?
Yeah, I'd be a
Well.
diesel mechanic for a farmer.
Yeah, okay, I'll do that too.
Others, have you ever thought about that? What else would you do if you weren't farming?
I thought about going into diesel school and auto body to work on semis or buy wrecked ones, whatever, that kind of thing.
Astronaut.
It's all right, mine's electrician. Okay.
I have no idea. I really don't. Yeah, I don't know. I'd want to be a race car driver, but you got to be really good at driving race cars to do that for a living.
Just practice.
Practice, yeah.
It's like farming. You get better year after year.
Hopefully, anyway, right?
That is your plan.
As a side note, too, I don't know, can everybody hear us? I was told by a couple people that they were struggling to hear us, especially in the back.
Okay, so make sure we pull those mics in nice and close. You can lift them right up to you.
We're
Nothing
done
wrong-
with these now, right?
Maybe. You can
No.
put them to the front.
Keep your board.
This isn't Little House on the Prairie. You can move your slate boards, but we'll get them back later. Okay. Now, this is a question that's kind of asked in a couple of different ways, but I'm going to combine it. And so this distinctly to Zach, and there was also one for Tony, much like it. 5th generation farmer, not mechanically inclined, but likes farming, wants to take over the family farm, but not best at fixing equipment. So for Zach and for Tony, what's your comeback to that question?
I mean, I don't see why not. Everybody's got strengths and weaknesses. So if you're not mechanically inclined, then you've got to have other strengths that you can lean on. So, I mean, yeah, there's people that will fix your stuff that you can hire. Obviously, if that's a weakness of yours and you know it, I mean, there's ways to work around that. I mean, I don't split tractors in half and fix transmissions on our farm, and we get by. These guys over here fix a lot more stuff hands-on than I do. It's just every farm's different. So everybody's got strengths and weaknesses. There's no reason that you can't farm if you don't enjoy the mechanics of things.
Yeah, I'd agree. That shouldn't hold you back. And if you guys heard of YouTube, if you find anything on YouTube, you can fix anything from YouTube.
It's kind of a new deal, I heard.
Yeah.
Fairly recent discovery. Okay. Pat is asking each of you, what do you consider the most important piece of equipment on your farm and why? So Chet, why don't you kick that off?
All of it. I don't know, I would say, well, every piece is equally as important. You can't do the job in whole, but one of my favorite pieces that is recently, 2016 was the first time we got a skid loader, and I always told my buddies, what would I need a skid loader for? Well, that was the dumbest statement I ever made, because every day we use that thing every single day.
Yeah, what don't you use it for?
Exactly.
Go ahead, Doug.
I would say the planter. You got to start with something to get everything going where it's supposed to be, so it definitely the planter and I don't know, they're all pretty good nowadays, so.
Give that seed every potential. A good planter
Yeah.
will do it.
And there's nothing the matter with the old finger pickup with the nice little finger in the spring there, if you don't need a new one.
Go ahead, Brian.
I would say probably a pencil and a calculator. I mean, all those pieces of equipment are important, but I mean, you can't hire that out if you absolutely had to, but if you can't manage farm's a business, if you can't manage it, you're not gonna be farming long.
Got to have the dollars to do it.
It's the least fun part, but it is the most important part, I think.
Nobody said, I can't wait to farm and do math.
Yeah.
When it's 30 below and windy outside, it's actually the most fun part of it.
Yeah, every
Live in
piece
Ohio.
is pretty important, but I think our sprayer, without that, I mean, there's 4 or 5 passes a year through the same field sometimes, so that's probably the most return besides the actual seeders.
The latest I saw a sprayer running this year, I think, was somewhere around November 15th. So it's not just for the summer anymore.
Yeah.
Zach?
I think calculator and skid loader have already been said. Those are 2 extremely important pieces. But I was going to say the grain dryer too. Like for us, with that grain dryer, I mean, it is worth its weight in gold for what we have to do with our corn every year.
All right. So going from some of the favorite pieces of equipment, Sam is asking, what's your favorite job to do on the farm for the season, or maybe your least favorite? Kind of what's your compare and contrast there. Zach, you were last. Pick that one up.
My favorite job to do on the farm, period, is plant corn. I don't know exactly what it is or why, but I just love planting corn. A lot of people will say harvesting corn. That's a fun one too, when the corn's good. But for whatever reason, I just like the way that the weather's changing and we're off to a new start every spring, and I just love planting corn. That's by far my favorite.
You didn't look like you were enjoying it on YouTube like the last 3 years.
That was for the camera.
Go ahead and jump in, Coach Ed.
I'm gonna go with harvest corn. That's my favorite. It's by far my favorite. I like to see what we got for the year, what we worked for the year, see every acre of the field, what needs to be improved, what we could improve on, better drainage, tree removal, and
Pointed looks were given.
we definitely, as we're going through the field, it's the time of the year to make notes on drainage and approach building, improving the farm, the land for next year.
Carry that notepad with so you can write down all your good ideas for next year.
That's what the iPhone's for, and text,
Okay, that too.
text the group text.
Doug?
Yeah, I guess planting corn is, I've, since Dad quit doing that back in, I can't even, must have been early 90s, I've planted all of our corn, and I don't know, I'm gonna hang on to that job for a little bit longer, so.
Were you giving our least favorite too?
Go ahead.
Oh, least favorite? Cleaning up around a grain bin site? Is that right?
You took mine.
The smell of rotten soybeans never goes away.
I'm gonna go with picking mud out of quad tracks. It's got to be the worst job ever. I hate it so bad. I just start
It gives
to
you
quiver
good
thinking
calluses
about it.
on your hands.
I got more hours into that than combining our whole crop this year, I'm pretty sure.
Fair enough.
I'd probably go with combining corn. I don't get to do it all year. A few hundred acres a year I'll combine while Dad's doing something else, but he usually combines all the corn and we each combine beans. But I really enjoy that. I think it's a fun job. It's a little bit higher, faster pace. There's just more going on. But planting's pretty close. But my least favorite is climbing on top of grain bins and like hanging on with one hand, looping your leg over a rail and trying to unplug things. I don't really like that the greatest, but so far I'm the only one that's not scared of heights, so I guess I'm the guy.
And a safety harness is on its way to you. Okay.
I'd go with seeding. That's the most potential, and the year happens that day. So it all usually goes downhill from there. But Worst would be cleaning out grain bins or changing points on an air drill.
You never clean out a grain bin on a cold day.
That's the best day to do it.
Apparently, my dad did this really wrong, okay? A lot of hot days involved in grain bins, kids. Lori's going to ask Doug, if you could spend a day driving with Burt Reynolds in a Trans Am, how would you convince Amy it would be a good idea?
It'll be fine.
What could go wrong?
It's gonna be a little musty.
That could be. I might have to let him out.
All right. Put on your egg engineer thinking hats, gentlemen. What would you recommend that Crary start making next? Maybe this will supplement that new astronaut career you're looking at, Brian.
Yes. If you guys could sponsor me a rocket.
There was already a movie. You're going to need a different title for your YouTube channel than Rocket Farmer. What do you think? Has it crossed your mind that this was something you looked at this year and thought, boy, we should really have it?
I think the engineer should answer the question. Rockets it is then. We're going with the rocket ship.
Perfect. Rockets it is. That's excellent. All right. Zach, any chance the sleeves will fall off of the Crary jersey and make a YouTube appearance?
I would say there was a 50-50 chance of that already, but now that the question's been asked, it's up to 100.
Are y'all making notes for content for the next few weeks? You're like, wow, this is something that came up. Now I'm going to have to do it.
Yeah, I've got my rocket plans
Right.
This is your whiteboard.
Yeah, you're going to need that on your
up
pad.
here.
All right. Favorite cookies, folks. We had some good ones for supper. What's your favorite cookie? Christmas is coming. Bake the good ones.
Christmas cookies.
Subway macadamia nut.
See? Everybody who travels on the road for business was the, yeah, over on this side of the room. Christmas cookies, just in general. We're not even going to narrow that down further.
Yeah, homemade Christmas cookies. Is that better?
Like
Fine.
oatmeal raisin Christmas cookies?
Yeah, like a sugar cookie with like a little Christmas tree icing on it. You know.
You said any Christmas cookie.
Well, that's the only Christmas cookie.
No.
Of the
You
two
take
of
an
us, I know
oatmeal
more
raisin
about
cookie
cookies, all
and
right?
you put a little cinnamon and like you make it red and green, that's a Christmas cookie then, right? But that's not going to be one of your favorite cookies. You could use it to take the rust off
I
your
don't know how
pickup.
you guys do things up here.
Don't insult his grandma's cooking now.
Is there about to be a Crary Pro Team cookie bake-off? Maybe that's what's next up for content for all of you.
Is
Don't-
there a
don't
Subway
for-
open? Because I go there.
Don't fool yourself. There ain't one of us up here that cooks. Well, maybe Tony does.
I'll go with monster cookies.
Monster cookies, excellent choice.
I only have one answer because I can't have dairy, so my mom's dairy-free chocolate chip cookies.
There you go. That's excellent.
That's all there's to choose from, so that's mine.
And there's your PTSD. Anger over the cookies, and the hogs left the farm. Okay. All right. This is definitely a debate in this area. Do you call it a pickup or do you call it a truck?
Pick up.
Definitely a pickup.
Trucks
Without
all
a-
grain.
Yeah.
Trucks haul grain.
Some people call those tractors, and it baffles my mind.
Definitely depends what room you're in.
Yes,
If you're
it
with the
does.
city folks, it's a truck. If you're with the farm guys, it's a pickup.
Oh, and there's also the whole headlands versus end rows debate, et cetera.
Definitely headlands.
What? We're in West Central Minnesota. I thought we agreed on this.
I just found out that everybody in Iowa, we had 2 guys from Iowa working for us this fall. A driveway is an approach into a field. So I didn't know there was people living in every single field that we farm, but they kept talking about these driveways. And finally I'm like, what is a driveway, guys? That driveway there, the truck just pulled in. That's an approach, everybody.
Yeah, a driveway goes to a house.
That's what we tried to explain to them, but you could not get that out of their head.
Well, plus you don't speak Iowan.
No.
Yesterday, I had a Nebraskan tell me that the road into his yard, again, I would think of that as a driveway, that was his lane.
I was just getting ready to say we called it a lane.
Oh,
That's farm lane.
You Southerners.
Suddenly Ohio really dropped below, a little further south.
Canada borders us.
Just south of here.
So back to that livestock that we talked about just a little bit earlier. If you had to raise livestock, what would you be raising? Chet wants a hog. Maybe not.
I don't know.
Don't know?
I don't think about these things at night laying in bed.
Well, you are now.
I suppose. I don't-
Red-lipped batfish, perhaps?
Dairy cows.
I guarantee you it wouldn't be dairy. Guinea pigs, I suppose. I do have experience. My brother had a lot of those growing up.
How do they taste?
You know, I was never allowed to even go in his bedroom because I terrorized him all the time, and Dad have to yell at me, even though I know for a fact that he did the same thing I did when nobody was around.
When you said he went through a lot of those, was there a really high mortality rate? You kept losing them?
They really shake when you pet them too hard.
Eventually it stops though, right?
Tony, you're just raising them to eat anyway, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I know cows pretty well. We'll stick with beef cows.
Alpacas. Nah, probably cows.
Just because they sound cool.
Well, they taste better.
Fair, fair enough.
I planned one video, and it was when I pranked Brody with a stolen vehicle that I had bought from an old guy in Appleton. And I didn't sleep all night long because I don't plan stuff, and it was very stressful, but it managed to turn out pretty good.
Okay.
I've planned a couple of videos just with very specific, like, context in it, and you can tell, I mean, it's an obvious thing, like it'll be a skit or something like that, but as far as 99% of my videos around the farm, nothing is ever planned.
Yeah, I say I'm just filming my life. I ain't really, I'm not a content creator. I'm just filming what I do for a living.
Yep.
My only plan is remember where I left my camera.
I did lose one this summer. I completely lost a camera and a whole day with a video on it, and it's been 5 months, and I have no idea where that camera went.
There's not some secret YouTube channel where it's being posted?
Not that I've seen. No.
It's the dang magnet mounts. Just
Yeah, those magnet mounts are tough because when you get busy, you just stick them somewhere, and then an hour later, you have no idea where you stuck your camera.
So you say we're done with questions then? Because I have one for Zach.
Oh, right.
Oh, no.
How did you get the dog to talk? I have a German Shepherd and it doesn't talk.
It doesn't talk at all?
No.
I'll tell you off mic.
In line for another beer. Okay, so that is the end of the questions. Round of applause for all of these gentlemen and the stories they shared.